It was the festive season again, and the Okoye family was preparing for their annual trip to the village. It had become a tradition for the family to spend Christmas with their extended relatives in their hometown. The air in their Lagos home was filled with excitement as they packed suitcases and loaded gifts into the trunk of their car. Mr. Okoye, a successful businessman, supervised the packing with military precision. His wife, Nkechi, moved about the house, ensuring nothing was left behind. Their 3 children Ada, Chinedu, and baby Aber were bursting with excitement, dreaming of the masquerade dances and family feasts awaiting them. But beneath Nkechi's cheerful demeanor was a gnawing unease. For 2 nights in a row, she had dreamt of a dark road, filled with cries of anguish and flashes of blood. Each time, she woke up drenched in sweat, her heart pounding. On the morning of their trip, Nkechi hesitated as the family gathered for breakfast. "Darling, I had another dream last night," she began hesitantly. "It felt so real, I think we should delay our trip." Mr. Okoye frowned, shaking his head. "Nkechi, not this again. We've been planning this for months. Dreams are just dreams. Let's pray and trust God to guide us." Reluctantly, Nkechi agreed, but before they set out, she made everyone kneel for a long, heartfelt prayer, pleading for divine protection. Her words lingered in the air, heavy and full of foreboding. The family opted to join a commercial bus to avoid the stress of driving. The bus, painted in fading yellow and blue, was packed with cheerful travelers carrying coolers, gifts, and stories of their village plans. The driver, Baba Tund, was a stout man with a booming voice and a reputation for fast driving. As they boarded, Nkechi noticed something unsettling. Baba Tund seemed distracted, glancing nervously at his phone and muttering under his breath. They set off as dawn broke, the bus roaring onto the highway. The passengers exchanged jokes and laughter, filling the air with a false sense of security. But Nkechi couldn't shake the heavy feeling in her chest. An hour into the journey, the bus stopped at a small roadside market for a quick break. Passengers got off to buy snacks and stretch their legs. Nkechi stayed behind with Iber, cradling him as he dozed. Out of nowhere, an elderly woman appeared by her window. Her skin was leathery, and her eyes were sharp, almost piercing. She leaned in close and said in a raspy voice, "Daughter, turn back. Darkness lies ahead." Before Nkechi could respond, the woman disappeared into the crowd. Her heart raced as she frantically searched for her husband. When he returned, she told him about the encounter. "Nkechi, you're letting fear control you," Mr. Okoye said dismissively. "Let's focus on getting to the village safely." As the journey continued, tensions began to rise. Baba Tund, eager to make up for lost time, started overtaking vehicles recklessly. The bus swerved dangerously close to a tanker truck, prompting screams from the passengers. "Driver, take it easy," one man shouted. But Baba Tund laughed. "Relax. I know this road like the back of my hand." Nkechi gripped her seat tightly, her instincts screaming that something was terribly wrong. As they approached a major junction, traffic slowed to a crawl. Impatient, Baba Tund decided to take a detour through an unfamiliar, desolate road. "Driver, are you sure about this route?" a passenger asked nervously. "It's a shortcut," Baba Tund replied confidently. The narrow road was lined with thick bushes, and the bus rattled over potholes. The cheerful chatter of the passengers faded into an easy silence. Nkechi noticed her husband looking uneasy for the first time. "Maybe we should have stayed on the main road," he muttered. As they approached a sharp bend, headlights suddenly appeared in the distance. A large bus was speeding toward them, its horn blaring. Baba Tund panicked, swerving to avoid the oncoming vehicle. The bus skidded, hitting loose gravel, and collided head-on with the other bus. The impact was catastrophic. Passengers screamed as the bus flipped over, rolling into a ditch. The world spun in chaos, glass shattered, metal twisted, and cries filled the air. When the dust settled, the scene was one of devastation. Passengers lay scattered across the road, some unconscious, others groaning in pain. Blood stained the pavement. Nkechi woke up to the sound of wailing. Her head throbbed, and blood trickled down her face. She frantically searched for her children. Ada was lying nearby, crying out in pain as she clutched her leg. Chinedu was crawling toward her, his arm bent at an unnatural angle, but Eber was nowhere to be seen. "Eber, Eber," Nkechi screamed, her voice raw with desperation. She spotted him under a pile of debris, unconscious but alive. The road was chaotic. Injured passengers called for help as others tried to free themselves from the wreckage. Cars passing by slowed to a stop, and people began gathering to assist. Road safety officers and paramedics arrived shortly after, working tirelessly to tend to the wounded. Stretchers were brought out, and ambulances lined the roadside. Nkechi refused to leave her children's side, even as paramedics urged her to get treated for her injuries. Her prayers became louder, more fervent, as she cradled Eber in her arms. One officer approached Baba Tund, who was sitting by the roadside, clutching his head. "What happened?" the officer demanded. I don't know," Baba Tund stammered. "I shouldn't have taken this route. My wife warned me in a dream last night, but I didn't listen." At the hospital, the Okoye family was treated for their injuries. Mr. Okoye held Nkechi's hand tightly, tears streaming down his face. "You were right," he said. "We should have listened to your instincts. From now on, we'll always pray and take warnings seriously." The moral lesson of this story is that you should always follow your instincts and take warnings seriously. Always pray fervently before any journey. It also teaches us that patience and caution can save lives, especially during festive periods.